डोळे उघडून नाही, नाक उघडून बघ. उद्धटपणाचा दुर्गंध. घेऊ. Good morning. This is International Master and FIDE Senior Trainer Sekhar Sahu welcomes you on behalf of Sports Authority of Gujarat and Gujarat State Chess Association Intermediate Training Session. So I will be covering about initiative, but this session will be about end games. Initiative and end game. First, let me show you some elementary end games, absolute basic end games. Now, for example, in this position, even though black has an extra pawn, he cannot win because the rook is cutting off the king in third rank. The king cannot cross the third rank, and if he tries to cover with a pawn, then the rook will go all the way down and give checks from the rear. No progress for the king. Suppose white to play, white can just wait one move, just wait. Now black has nothing better than pushing the pawn to come. Now it is time, it is important. Now what else you will do? He will come, wait, no progress. Now the threat we have to see, he is coming to win. So we have to go quickly. White must play this, not to give shelter, and the continuous checks will come on the square. Checks will come. Now king moves, check, and now check and draw. Check, check, no shelter. So it applies that rook on third rank, it is a draw. This is called the Philidor cutoff. The Philidor cutoff. Now let's see the next position. Suppose the rook is unable to cut. Here, the rook cannot go to third rank. Now, white to play, white wins easily because if the rook is here, it's a draw. Or rook is here also, it's a draw because we'll cut off. But now this is win because there is no defense. There is a mat threat, and rook here will lose d4. Give a rook check, exchange the rook, and king pawn and game. Now rook check, rook exchange, king f7 wins. So only move, check, only move, king, and the pawn makes progress. There is a gap between the rook and king is only two files. So it is easily winning. King. Now attack. So if the rook was available, rook a file, then but it is not possible. It was now it is lost. King. The pawn will go to seventh rank. Or if you support with the king, rook check wins. So only move and winning. So third rank cutoff. Please keep in mind. Okay, I give you time. White to play and win. The pawn is on 7th rank and one move it will queen. The pawn is queening in one move. But how white should win the game? How should you win the game now? Hello, Kamakshi Vastu. Basically, chess is a sort of, you have to have a good memory and knowledge. Now, computer is doing good. It is only fed with lot of millions, billions of positions. And is very quick in searching. So, chess, we should know thoroughly the elementary endgames and plans. If you want to become a master, then if you must be aware of all elementary tactics, elementary endgames, elementary strategy, basic things. Why to play? What is the plan? This is a very simple plan. White wins by triangulation. What is triangulation? The diagram is white to play. We will reach the same diagram and it will black to play. When black to play, there is no pawn move, no king move. If king goes to h3, queen to f1 wins. That means he has to move the rook and the rook will be lost. That we reach the diagram. We have to make a triangulation, bring the same diagram with black to play. That's it. So queen check on the center, check, only move, check, only move. Now we restarted where we are. Now we have reached the diagram, same diagram, but this time it is black to play. Lost. Rook one. Now rook moves. So give a check, give a check, give a check. He cannot come up, mate. Only move down, and then we get d1 check and take the rook with check. The only move is to come down now. But check and then check. That means simple secret is where we started the diagram. We have to re-triangulate and give the move to black. Black has to move the rook, and wherever it goes, it will lose the rook. We have to just keep the themes in mind. Then we can work out on the board. Some more simple positions. In the given diagram, black is 2 pawn. But despite that, it is a draw. The reason is the theme of opposition here. That means whenever black king comes here, white should be here. Then the black king has no entry. It has to go back and it's a draw. The very simple logic. So now white to play, white should not go here. Only after black comes to e5, he'll play e3. So you just wait, wait. Just don't go to that this bad square. If you go here, you will lose the game. So wait till black comes. Now we can come. This take. Now if he will go here, I should wait. If he goes, I should wait. Not this bad move. Not this bad move. This is also okay. But this is wait. When he comes here, so he comes push. Look here. Look here. Again going to the square is bad. He will come here and win. So you wait till he comes. Now draw. The simple theme of opposition. Yes, Kamakshi, the right answer. Now I'm just giving an example. It is material or position. For example, black has more material than white. Black has is a rook up, but the pieces are so badly placed. Now white has upper hand. White to play, white wins. White wins the game. I give you time. The reason is the black king paralyzed, not a single move. The pawn on h6 is controlling, the f7 pawn is pinned, so nothing is moving. You see, black's knight, king, rook, and bishops are also paralyzed. So there is a simple win. Yeah, 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 very nice, very nice. Wonderful, wonderful. Queen into take, and there is no answer to the mate. There is no answer. Whatever you will do, there is a knight check is coming. Lost. Mate. So it is position that place, not the material always. Okay, this position. Having the move is a treasure in chess, and a player must master the art of captures and checks. White to play wins. Hello, Swankar. Good morning. White to play wins. You see, if white plays rook into rook, we will lose the game. But the check, you are forced to take, then the check, forced to come, then the queen king, idea mate, forced to give check. Now there is a threat of king b6. If there is a threat, and if black plays king to c7 wins, and otherwise the king comes, wins mate. So mating patterns, captures, checks, Good position, bad position. Now the position, normally a knight cannot win alone, but it is a mating knight. The black king is badly placed. So how do we win the game? We want check. Now correct move. This is the correct maneuver. Now he cannot push the pawn. If he pushes the pawn, it's a mate. But imagine if the knight is on f c1, he is forced to push the pawn. Then checkmate. So we have to maneuver the same position with knight on c1. Now he is forced and checkmate. So good position, bad position. This position, it is a win. It's a theme. Suppose we wait, is a draw. Suppose we wait, bishop wait, pawn queens and draw. But block. He is choked. He has to take. Now the correct move is king c2, not king c1. King c1 is bad. Okay. King c1 is bad. Or king c1 also wins. King c1 b5. Three moves. No, king c2 is correct. Take. Now queens and mates. Means basically if white fails to see that bishop a1, if he does not notice, it is a draw. So we have to be very much familiar with the themes. Okay, this position. Very easy win. Rook cut off on the seventh rank, bring the king and checkmate. Cut off. Now, suppose now whatever queen, there is a checkmate. Suppose you pawn queen checkmate, only move. But the knight in the corner is trapped. Just come. Knight has only one square. Double attack. Mate and knight. These are simple. I will not show too many elementary moves. I will now go to. Okay, this is the last diagram on elementary chess. I will go to the little advanced level. Initiative and endgame. It is a very interesting topic. I will show you initiative and endgame. Now let us see what are you going to do. How white wins the game. Rath, wrong move. D7 is wrong move. Rath, D7 is a draw. Black will play king c7. If you play immediate D7, black will play king to C7. It is a draw. End game, lot of patience is required. One has to move, everything changes. The point is, now the black king is cut off on the seventh rank and he is lost after you attack the bishop. The bishop is lost. You attack the bishop. Now let us examine. Bishop cannot go here. Cannot, cannot, cannot. Why he cannot go? Because if he goes, rook check. Now if he goes here, rook check. And when bishop comes here, just king, zugzwang. He cannot move. And this is also bad. Why? Because if he goes here, a rook check, king, and rook into bishop. The king pawn ending. And this is supposed to be here. So here, over. That means he has no square. And when he goes to these two squares, the king will go no check position. When the bishop goes to f3 or e2, the king will go, then there is no bishop check and it is lost. That means the only square. And now this wins. Now, if the king goes here or here, pawn queens, and there is a fork. So the king cannot move. Neither king can take the pawn. King takes a pawn, fork. Now my threat is deadly. This is deadly. Lost. And he will play lost. And suppose you come king, bishop, king is coming. Suppose you play here. No, you can't go there. Lost. It is lost. So the whole point is a player should notice this that he has no. But if you play immediately, no, if you play immediately, pawn puts a card. If you push immediately, this is a draw. King comes, and you cannot make progress. Nothing can do. So I will go now to some practical endgame from Grandmaster play, World Champions play. Okay, it's very instructive. If you are serious about improving your art of initiative, today's session will be very useful. Initiative in endgame. Please pay full attention. I have picked up some 18 diagrams from World Championship play. Now this position, white transposes to a winning end. Thereafter, plays very precisely. Rishabh was at the prime, He was at his best in 1970s, early 70s. So here, white has 3 pressure on f7 and black has 3. F7 point, white has 3 and black has 3. So you need to eliminate one of the defender. Rook d1, the straightforward threat rook into. Rook d8 does not work. Suppose you will play rook d8 if you play only. Suppose you play rook d8 doesn't work. No, no, no. I'm telling at the moment doesn't work. Rook into rook and I will exchange up. Rook into rook. Or maybe here knight into pawn also. No, no, no. What? How I should win the game? How should I win the game? Maybe support the queen g3, or I think you take the rook. No, g3 is winning. G3 is winning. So he can't come. So he moves, takes, 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 takes. You cannot take that. Then rook check and we exchange up and win. He will bring rook check and he will win the pawns and winning easily. So only move, only move. Now the initiative in endgame. Now so far, I think an average player can work out on this. But here onwards, the initiative is terrific. Despite the two pass pawns on the queen side, it is not easy. For example, check, check. Now it is not easy. Two connected pass pawns is there and king is near. So if you attack the bishop, he can easily defend. What is the plan here? There are three themes I found in this end game. Number one, utilizing the king. Number two, betting pattern, and number three, simple tactics, technically fitness. Here comes king. First thing, priority. Then move is forced. Rook to d1 forced. Now king, bringing the king towards him. The simple threat. He wants to bring king e2 and pawn f4. White has made tremendous progress. Notice that black pawns are not moving. White has placed the rook in such a way none of the queenside pawns are moving. Now the next job to play g4, f5. Slowly and steadily he will take space and bring black into a jigsaw. Stage 2 now. All this thing has been reached almost by force sequence. Now how to do? I give time. I give time. The point is, black cannot exchange rooks. If you exchange the rook d4 will take and king to d3, it is finished very quickly. So he has to wait. Now, naturally, if you exchange the pawn, the winning chances are removed. So, f5 natural. Trying to improve, there is nothing better. King cannot come to f6 because rook check will win a piece. The pawns are not moving. The rook is not moving. You can see it is a virtual zugzwang. You know, zugzwang is a weapon in endgame. Zugzwang is a weapon. So, he has to move. There is nothing better. But now, he creates a threat. The threat is rook into pawn. Rook e4 into b4. Rook cannot move. The pawns cannot move. So only move. Bishop cannot move also. For example, if bishop moves, suppose you move the bishop somewhere, then or maybe here or here, you will give a rook check, then there is a mating attack. Line or mate. Then a line or mate will come. Check, king cannot come up, mate. And if your king goes down, all you need to double the rooks and just pull the rook to c7 and mate, or h7 and mate. So then he cannot move the bishop. He cannot move, only move. Only. You win a point. Even now, it is not easy. Despite White has won the pawn, still not easy. So he comes. What should be the winning plan now? Now, theme number a mating pattern. It is a very, very good important topic or a feature in endgame. Mating net with little material. Rook check. King f3. We can see such a game in Karpov versus making. There are lots, so hundreds of examples. Now, in mating pattern, in limited with limited material. Now, rook check is a mate. So, no time to rook e6 mate. You cannot exchange rooks. That will lose very quickly. So, only. Now, the point is, don't give time. Suppose you give time, then it will be having drawing chances. Suppose you play drawing chances. So, don't give time. After the rook. No time. You cannot exchange rook. And the pawn should win. Now, two connected pawns. It is now a technical win. So, a player, you see, series of force moves and precise moves. I think there is no point in saying further. This is easily winning, lost. No matter what you do, this position, whatever it is, lost. Because if you play rook to f7, then you can just play maybe rook check and picking up easily. Okay, lost. This is position. Yet another instructive position. Now it is black to play. Okay, I flip the board. For better vision, I flip the board. Black has upper hand. Now, please notice one tactical thing that if the knight is not here, then rook into bishop can come. Why? The rook is then rook will be unprotected. If the knight is not here, rook will be unprotected. So, what are you going to do now? Um, Keres found a wonderful plan. 1948 World Championship tournament. for initiative. The middle game, but we'll reach a four sequence of handling. BD5 here. No, no, no. There is a I told you there is a four sequence. BD5 is not correct. I don't think BD5. After BD5, he can capture the knight and there is no more winning plan. It is white who will be better. Now, if you play BD5, he will play knight into D6 and then he has two bishops and open 5. BD5 is incorrect. The correct move played knight into knight. This is four sequence of knight into E4. Knight into. Now, please notice that this rook is unprotected. This is unprotected. And the threat is coming. But Keras noticed he will steer the game to a forceful winning end. Think again. Paul Keras was a great player. It is considered there are in the chess history maybe about a dozen players who never became world champions. But they were great players. For example, to start with, Akiba Rubinstein. He deserved to become world champion in his time. But the World War and there was no world championship. He did not get a chance. Akiba Rubinstein deserved. Paul Keres. He was also greatly deserving. But World War II. So, number three, David Brownstein. My God, would you believe that? That simple and I'll show that. He lost a game which was dead draw. And that would have changed the history of world champions. He would have been world champion. So, after David Brownstein, it is Victor Korsunen. He was world number two for 10 years. He never became world champion. Leonard Stein, one of the fantastic players, terrific talent, but same like Vizian, terrific speed, imagination, but early heart attack. Or I don't know, he was killed, I don't know. Well, died at the age of 38. Okay. Vasily Ivanchuk, another great player who was terrific talent, but missed narrow. I mean, he lost to Yusupov unfortunately in a winning position and got eliminated. Like that, that I can say Lubujovic was a great player. Fabian Caruana or Karyakin, they came, but they just did draws and tiebreak. So many players in the history, but it is considered that Keres was the strongest player among all those who never became world champion. He should have. So why? Rubinstein was good in end game, but if you look at imagination and middle game, all round champion Keres. His prime was over after the World War. Now Keres is winning. Look at the position. Rook, he ignored rook into bishop. Knight g4. Knight to g4. He allowed rook into. Queen coming mate threat. I guess for s3, rook back. If you play s3, this is knight into. Knight into. And if you play king into, queen check and rook supported. The idea, I can take the rook with a check supporting the rook. And if it takes with the queen, of course, pawn and rook should win. Exchange of handling. So you cannot play h3. That means rook back. Now queen check, win, third, another one, and win. For simplification, I dissolve everything now. And two pass pawns. Now this one bishop is helpless. This is just helpless position. King is far away, and the two pass pawns on this side and two pass pawns on that side. It's nothing. Lost. The king cannot control. Bishop is already tied down to a pawn, and it is a march of pawns. Bishop d5, the pawn on d4 restrict two bishops moves. No, when we see, when I have showed a force win in the position, there is a force win. So what you are playing positional chess, a middle game will continue. So see, for example, in the beginning position, there is no positional chess here. Now bd5 restriction. When I am showing a force win, why you want to do? Now here I will take, you take, and now rook check will come. It is not easy. Then there is a chance that queen will enter. This is not restriction. I doubt the position is now having winning chances. The only pass pawns, but activity will start. Now will rook will double. After you move the king, the pawn is restricted. The rook will double. When you get the gold, why go for tamba? When you I am showing you gold medal, you say you will try for bronze. So this is just a move, but I am showing a four sequence of win. So this is force. You have to take forced. Now if you don't take it, I will take the bishop. The last and final call. Force. Take forced. There is a force moves. And opponent is was later on became world champion. White is an extraordinary technically strong player. So he will not miss. Okay. Let me go further. Next example. This position. This position. I just made it open. So we will now position bishop e1 comes. Repeat. Now black trying to improve. So white is in having upper hand. Control F, control F. So bad move. End game error. For example, now the correct move is to you play a5, divert the bishop. A5 was correct because after bishop takes it, the king has a square. You must take away bishop from the control of the h6 square. Now h6 square bishop is controlling. So a5 you are forced to take the pawn, or the pawn will let pawn moving. Now after bishop takes pawn, now rook f3 is correct. And pawn into rook, then we have rook into and winning the game. This is the correct way. But what happened? A careless move. Typical error. He played rook. Now bishop is in ideal place watching the square. So it is lost now. Pawn into. Now rook into does not work. A rook check comes. The point is, if the bishop was here, the king would have come up. The king would have come up to h6. Everything changes. Now forced to go down and run to a betting net. Now you take the queen, I will take your queen, it is lost. And queen cannot go anywhere because that queen has only one square. If you want to support the rook, queen has only one square that runs to bishop check. Bishop check, queen into, and it is lost. So this is the problem. No lost. The end game is lost. It is a piece up. Piece up and win. You can see the typical errors. A careless move. A5 would have been very good offer resistance, but a careless rook f3 and he lost the game. I showed already. This is the game I'm talking. This game would have changed the history of world chess. I mean, both Brownstein would have been world champion. Their condition was the 24 game match that the challenger has to get 12 and a half points. If it is 12-12, the champion retains the title. Botanic was champion, and if it is a 12-12, it's a champion retains. And it was became match became 12 and 12. What a tragedy! And Brownstein lost this game. Would you believe that? A knight up. It is an easy draw. The simple position is that knight comes here, give a check, and knight comes and give a check, and then knight will come. Finish. And the king pawn and for example, knight check, knight check. Now the king will. Now I will not take the pawn. I will take the pawn. I will put the king on e1. You see, patience is required. So you further win. Now queens take, and it is easily win. Easily win. Okay. Zugzwang it will come. Maybe pawn to c5. No, no, no. Maybe it is a draw. Even it is a draw. Even if it is a draw, he retains that title. It's a draw. It's not win. It's a draw. But what a tragedy! Instead of playing this, oh what a tragedy! He played bad move king because he thought it is a draw that king will come and I will bring the knight and sorry I will bring the knight and in case pawn push and then is a knight check. Then knight check will draw. Now point is this is a bad square. The correct move is this. The king approached like this. Now the bad square it's a draw. You will play knight check, knight here, and the pawn does not move. Knight check is a draw. But who smart played king. The knight does not come now. If now knight moves, pawn push wins. And if you bring the king also loses. Now instead of knight, you bring the king also, king to f2 wins. King f2 wins. What a tragedy. This easy draw he missed and lost the world title. And also, to his bad luck, he had adjourned a position which was actually winning. But let me not go further. He played badly and lost the game, drew the game. Terrible. So I will go to next. It is elementary position. Go to the next diagram. Now this position. I have already discussed the theme to you several times. So white to play and white is having upper hand. Very simple moves. Unfortunately, many of you, majority of the youngsters don't like this kind of diagrams to discuss because they want thrill, they want action. But it is most important thing to understand this phase of the game. To get better result and acquire mastery in chess, you need to master the end. The art of playing endgame, art of taking initiative in endgame. This is more important than learning openings. Now this is very clear that we exchange, then the opponent is left with a bad, black is left with a bad bishop. So we will force exchange. Now queen g5 is practically forced because queen f7 runs to knight e5. And after the exchange of queens, he is left with a bad bishop and also inactive king. White king will be active and white has clear upper hand. Queen g5. Steering the going to force endgame. Forced. Now queen f7 is bad. Queen d4 is bad. Now queen f7, there is a fall. There is a fall. So, and if you play queen d4 is bad. Attack and a rear check is coming. Forced. One lost. So you cannot take queen into pawn and you cannot move the queen f7 only. Now the bishop is bad and king is active. Only move. If you do not play, anyway the king is coming. You cannot play king f7. You cannot at all play king f7. So only move. And now you give your double pawn and secure a square for your knight on c5. Double pawn. White, black has no time to take rook into pawn, and that is too much. So only move. Finish. Now apart from a superior knight, and the king is active. The king is active. The king is coming. King is coming. Which he cannot stop. That means for practical purpose, white is playing with three pieces and black is playing with only rook because the bishop has no target. So it is 3-1. The initiative is too much. Is there any way? Ivan Vishal Saha, queen e5. No, 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 no. Queen g5. Vivan, it is not queen e5. Queen e5, queen g5 and d5, there is a difference. For example, if you play queen e5, queen into queen, knight into queen, he will enter. He has life. So you fix the pawn. The pawn coming here is technically better because it will create a backward pawn. Queen e5 is not correct. Not correct. Not correct. I can go queen back also. Even queen exchange. So queen g5 is technically correct. Because I told you queen d4 is not working. Queen d4 fails to simply knight. Lost. Lost. Complete lost. Queen attack. Rook attack. So the correct move, queen into queen only move, that creates a backward pawn. Now the pawn is paralyzed. Alright. So let us see the game is he played like this, and now king. He cannot do, it's just one sided. It is just one sided story. Now you see in a winning position, patience is required. You have to notice the threat. What is the threat is giving? He is coming here. And from a completely winning positions, now counterplay will start. Or plan. If you allow. So do not be in a hurry in hand game. Night time. Stopping that. Now bishop into knight will not work. Bishop into knight, rook into, suppose you take, then rook into, now rook here. This is completely lost. You can't take bishop into knight. So he plays rook. But then king enters via d6. Three pieces. Over. Finish. Pass pawn. There is nothing to show further. So these positions are very important. Let us say we bring a player of 2300, 2400 and 2700. You will see the difference in their speed and accuracy in hand. You know, higher the player, the better they are in hand. Of course, they are better in strategy, better in everything, but more better in hand. So, technical improvement of the chess knowledge will get you better result, the faster result, and quick mastery. Lost. How accurately has been played by Butu? Let's see now this position. Yet another interesting one. Now this is a common theme. I have always told advantage of bishop pair. Now two knight or two bishop. The knights are clumsy. Okay, the two bishops are superior. We in the chess history, I mean in chess games, you can find many examples. What is the advantage of two bishops? I read a long back. I read one Russian book. For sake of chess, I learned little bit of Russian to read the books to understand what they are commenting. Now, the advantage of two bishops lie because you have a choice to exchange one of the bishop for the correct knight or correct piece. Retain the superior bishop. Then bishop versus knight are strong when the pawns are on both wings and you have an active king. When you play bishop like Fischer Timon. Fischer Timon. Rook and bishop is better than rook and knight because at right time you exchange the rook, reaching a bishop versus knight ending, but pawns must be on both wings. All this was said by great Capablanca in his book Chess Fundamentals, maybe 150, 100 years back. 100 years back. The superiority of bishop. And no wonder many grandmasters to retain like to retain the bishop for ending. You can say, you can say, uh, many. How many examples I can give? So, two bishop means you have the power to keep the bishop one right bishop at right time, exchange one piece, and push the king. And as the game opens more and more, the diagonals will open up. The bishop will become more powerful. Suppose I have one bishop, opponent has a knight. If the pawns are less, the bishop power improves because more diagonals are open. And if the pawns are on one side only, then knight is good. Bishop cannot do anything. Let us say we remove the pawns of black, all queen side pawns. Now bring the knight to king side. Suppose black will bargain these two pawn for a pawn. Let us say remove and bring the knight to king. There is no win for white. We have to understand certain typical features. Okay, now e4. Want to create a target. What else? Pawn into pawn will create a pass pawn in center. Not taking a pawn. So you take. Restricting the bishop, dominating the a6 knight. Now bishop d6 dominates. What we call it is building a domination. Creating domination. Just now we are virtually creating zugzwang. The point is, if the king will go far away, suppose you go king to g6 or g7, something, pawn into d5, and then the bishop will having problem. King g7 is bad. Take force to support the pawn, bad to go king g7. Force. Once again, force. You cannot go to king g7. So only now the pawns are target. You have to watch the d5 point and h5 point. I told you the simple secret in endgame, many of the ending, creating a zugzwang. Now paralyzed. The king is paralyzed. The knight on b8 is not moving. The only move. Or you move the king. Only move. Lost. The zugzwang. After the king d6, check zugzwang. It is a zugzwang because the king is now permanently fixed to d6. That means only move. But then nothing is moving around. Now the only you can king is tied down, and after this, no pawn move, no king move, no knight. Zug, 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 lost. So I saw many. Actually, I never realized that what is two bishop they are talking. After I read that book, I don't forget that. So he explained systematically a lot of positions, and right time we should exchange one bishop and keep the better bishop, and also push the opponent pieces to the brink. What is your evaluation of this position? Boris Spassky versus Petrosyan. Now the position is black to play. Hello, Vivan. Good to see you here. Now, black to play. How should black play? Play online, bridge or not? Divyasri Goswami, my advice: stop playing bridge. You stop playing bridge online. It is harmful. It is not. It is not improvement. It is harming your game. You should play minimum 15 minutes, 15 till half an hour. You can play a game, half an hour game. Like minimum. That is, I'm talking minimum. Opponent 15 minutes, you have 15 minutes. You will learn something after the openings are gone in 2 3 minutes. At least to play decent position. But it is rubbish to play 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. Any suggestion? How should white play, black play? How should black play? This is World Championship 1969. Can somebody suggest me what should black do? Their pawn. You can easily see that white has upper hand because black has a bad restricted bishop. Black bishop is not white rook on seventh rank, and white has a better minor piece. So white has an advantage. King g7, and that is what is that? f7 falling. Rook c d5. Rook c to d5. No, 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 no. King g7. You cannot give material. Now the material is equal. Never give material. You hang on to material. Don't. You see, you cannot give a speculation. Rook c d5. I will take the pawn. There is nothing. So the correct move was king g7, maintaining the balance. Though white is better. Even after king g7, white is better, but very difficult. But he made a blunder. But he made a blunder. Looks nice, but the initiative is very powerful now. The initiative is so strong that he cannot do anything. The pawns will be fractured. If you take pawn into g4, I need not explain. Double two rooks on seventh rank. Nimzovich will explain how to win. So this is too much. So you are forced. Take fractured pawns. Check, 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 check. Winning. Now pass pawn has been created, and pawn weaknesses. Apart from being a pawn up, the pawns are weak. This is all rubbish now. Nothing. Finish. Best to exchange a pair of two. So black cannot create any kind of unclear situation. Not taking the pawn, of course, should win. It's a winning ending. Rook ending is lost. You can see that end game error, the initiate become power. For example, this is the king g7. It is not easy. I don't see a clear cut plan. Of course, white is better. White has to play very carefully now. To the action will start with rook f4. Rook f4. Slowly, but a positional blunder and giving the initiative, very strong initiative to white. All right. The position Smyslov is white and Botvinnik is black. Black to play. So I will flip the board for your better vision. How should black play? Rath says g5. The correct answer. Now, black pieces are better because both rooks are occupying excellent files. They are in open file. And the knight is also in a nice place. So, g5, knight is watching e5 point. That means if you capture two times, then knight e5 is a very strong position. And you don't capture, there is tension on f4. So, the right answer, g5. This also activates the king to come. Take. The position is overwhelming. Despite the material equality, three pawn each, black has a pass pawn and g5 pawn an easy target. Easy target. What else? Only move. Post. It is fixed. Now bishop has become bad. The rook is passive. Everything is bad. It is also possible. He is preparing some counter play. Rook c5 is the counter play is based on rook c5. Because anyway, if you give a check, king is coming up and up. So rook c5. So this is a move. Right? Hello? Yes. Move କହିଲି ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ନା I surrendered already. Ah. Then how it matters? I have already surrendered. I have given the forms, details, all these things. Anyway, I have nothing. I am doing in a class. I am in a class now. I cannot talk. I'm sorry. Thank you. So here it is now rook c5. So it comes to exchange so that the pawns will connect. Improvement. Bishop into knight is hopeless. He will lose two more pawns. After bishop takes knight, g5 pawn will fall, and either g3 or a4 pawn will fall. The threat is now simply rook coming to e5 and picking up. Lost. Forced. Lost. One or two checks will come. It doesn't matter. One or two checks. Suppose you give check, then king into pawn. Rook check, king into g5, finish. It's lost. Okay. So you can see the initiative is powerful. For example, I can show you. I have already shown. I can repeat that. It was Laskar versus Marshall. That was also even little material. The initiative was so powerful that with material equality also, Marshall could not find that. Okay, now it is Slater versus Laskar. White Slater, Hal Slater, and Laskar World Championship 1908 or around that day. Which area? 1910. He was a very strong player in hand game. Now, this game was analyzed in great detail by Peter Romanowski. He devoted around 15 to 20 pages to discuss some 5, 7, 8, 10 diagrams. The main thing is that with heavy pieces on the board, one pawn up or one pawn down hardly matters. It all depends the king position. With heavy pieces on the board, the mating net comes often. So it should be now here queen and rook are called heavy pieces. Now let us say black played. Okay, good move. Attack. The one of the idea of black that he wants to advance the king side pawns, but the king should be at c7, protecting the queen side. Now he will bring the king to queen side, and then he is protected. And thereafter he will start expanding on the king side. Not a bad idea. Laskar had a fantastic understanding of positions. This is good. Now the expansion on king side will start. You can't play f3. I guess this is not correct. The more scientific move was to play g5 and wait for an opportunity g6. More scientifically, he has to wait. But weakening the king position, you can see that I told you when there are heavy pieces, this black king position is now shaky. Okay, making a prophylactic move. Now, main idea of white is to open the queen side. At a timely break will come. Before that, his king is in a better place, pawn is in a better place. Preparing for the a4 break. You have to stop f7 check right time. The queen exchange is a draw. Easily. You can see the rook ending has no prospect. So, he keeps the queen on the. Now, you can see b4 pawn is giving a very good understanding of the position that there will be a lot of open lines. So white does not care for the loss of b4 pawn. I would say that it is not easy. In a blitz game you can give, but you have to calculate the consequences. Good move. I would give the move a double exclamation. Now, despite the pass pawn, the king position. Suppose we will now make a little change in the position. You bring the king to e7 and put the rook on queen side. Everything will change. The king is now in jeopardy. There is a danger. No way, queen exchange. Pawn, you have to hang on. You cannot go ruthlessly. So support the pawn. Queen a5 is a threat. So he controlled queen a5. Now rook a7 and queen enters. You run out of checks. That calculation by white is perfect. Now if you give queen check, king come to g1, no check position. Only move. You cannot play that pawn push also. So only move also. No queen f2. I'm not going to the great depth of analysis. I'm just showing example. Smith Saha, good morning. and now the game is over. F6 is attacked, made threat, he resigns. Because after the move, obvious there is entry and it is lost. He plays now queen f8 check, only move, but the queen check and mate. What I meant to say, the players, of course, there could have been a draw earlier, but exposing the king, now you cannot open up. Being a pawn up is, or two pawn up also, very bad. Like Spassky Tal match, you can see such an example. You can see, mm, okay, I will go to next example. The theme is we should not weaken the king in a with heavy pieces on the board. Okay, who is this? Petrosian white and Botvinnik black. It is black to play. Now black has many good moves. Black can play c5. He can wait with rook d7. But he played a bad move. Black he need not weaken unnecessarily. He could have played here simply c5. Or maybe here rook d. This is also good move because hoping pawn takes pawn with counterplay. But bad move. Now white initiative become very powerful. I told you rook versus bishop. And one rook will be exchanged at right time. Then white will have a clear upper hand. The g6 pawn backward and a pass pawn. It makes life easy for white. Now white will have a clear upper hand. See the technical part. Exchange one pair of rook. Now king is a piece. Now the point is there is no counterplay. So at right time we can exchange the rook, enter bishop versus knight. Good move. You cannot take that, creating fresh weaknesses. After pawn takes pawn, rook a1, rb8 is not possible. The b3 pawn is weak, but rb8 is not possible. The power of bishop. Now they fight. Excellent strategy. There is nothing, but bishop is dominating. There is nothing. Force. You can't push the pawn. Forced. Now, even king entering is also there. But this is good. Idea. Rook will enter via e5 or c5. Rook c8, rook c6. Then you are cutting off and paralyzing the pawns. And then king will advance. Rook. Zugzwang. It is a zugzwang now. Now king to e6 loses in three moves. After king e6, bishop into knight, king into rook c6, pawn and a mate. King e6 loses to mating. I told you, you have to master the art of mating. So the only you can't play king only again the only now this king is entering e4. Pushed and pushed and pushed further and further. Actually, there are many ways, but always collect material. This becomes completely hopeless. No counterplay. It is lost. A small error, then it can give a big initiative in endgame. This kind of position, this is terrible. Of course, you can understand the tension, the time trouble, all these things. Normally, in those days, the game used to adjourn after 40 minutes because 5 hours of play. Then they used to adjourn. So it could be in a time travel error because very close to 40. It could be a time travel error. So this is just bad to play. This is bad move. You could have hanged on with rook d8, rook f8. This is also acceptable because pawn into pawn, knight into pawn. You can't play f4. Okay. This is Keras versus Botvinnik. Obviously, the advantage with black. Why? Because white king position is more shaky. White king position is more shaky, and there is a game is simplified into a force situation. How should black play? How should black play? The point is now pawn into pawn is bad. Black plays pawn into pawn, queen d7 check, and king into pawn also is not correct. So how should black play now? How should black play? Yeah, good answer. Obviously, forcing a winning king pawn and check, 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 check. You can't exchange queen. Only move, check, and force exchange. Now the e pawn will fall. The first white has to take the b pawn. The resulting position he can win, but there is a pass pawn and the central pawns are paralyzed. So, no d4 break. You have to worry. You have to return to the king side. After king e3 or king e2, king c3 wins. Now you have to play some move like king e3. But then Zugzwan, king. We have no need of this. Just push the pawn. Outside pawn and winning. Outside pass. So well done, Divyasri. Now next, position. It is very interesting. Now white to play. White looks like winning easily. It is World Championship in 1889, the first official World Championship. The position white is a piece up should win very easy. But I'm talking of the white won the game, but there is lot of hiccups, fluctuation of fortune. Now, for example, now white can play simple. What is the winning plan? He should now support the f4 pawn. Queen c1 will come. Then s3 will come. Then king s2. And after that, he will consolidate. After queen to c1, then pawn to h3, then king to h2, and queen e3, gradually will win the game. No checks and extra piece, but bad. It is not that it's a draw, but completely exposing the white king position. Check, check, check. You can't play interpose, only me. Now the problem has started. The drawback of c3, I mean g3. Another bad. Now queen exchange is a draw. After queen into queen, first intermediate check will come. Then he is left with only one pawn. This is bad move. Bad move. Intermediate check. This is draw. It is not moving. Draw. Next king pawn into, it's a draw. So he cannot, he has to take the pawn first. He must take the pawn. So pawn into pawn, only move pawn takes. Now it is very difficult. Very difficult. You give a check, king will repeat. Check, check, queen. Check. There is no easy plan. He has exposed. Okay. Now the position, it is a draw. How should black play now? How should you play now? Even is very difficult because exposed king. So black should play now b5. Then he has a base at c4, and white pieces will engage for blocking. The correct move here b5 will offer very good drawing chances. But bad move. This bad move loses. Now suddenly he will create mating threats. Queen e5 and expose the king position. Not queen e2 check. Not queen. Simple b5 was correct. Bad move. and it is winning. Now the threat is queen check f5. Nothing. Check. It should win. Mistakes at that world championship level. Okay. The position it is white to play. So white played here, king it. How should black play now? How should black play? Then somebody suggest me how should black play? Then somebody tell me how should black play? Yes. Correct move king f4. King f4, the game is draw. But if black becomes greedy to go for the h pawn, white will have very strong initiative. Black may think the rook cannot do anything because rook is to watch the pawn. Rook has to watch the b pass. And if he goes for king h4, white is winning. Suppose you go, then white will have a very strong initiative. King. Now king into pawn, then pawn push wins. And now if king e4, over. The game is over. So even in little material, the initiative becomes very powerful. One should not go greedily. This is lost. The only move is king and draw. King, king, draw. No progress. You can't play f4. You can't play king d3. King, draw. These are simple themes, but you must keep in mind. Your 100% focus is required till the end of the game, till the last move. All right. This is Karpov versus Kasparov. White is a pawn up and a more active position. So what should white do? Black, black. Black played h5. What should white do? It is having an upper hand and extra pawn. What to do? Active move. Active move. Play actively. Pawn to e with a threat. Pawn e5 is a threat now. Black has to take the pawn. Only move. Only move. Now, white has improved the position further. He has created 2-1 majority and the king comes smoothly. Apart from that, c5 check anytime. So, you cannot take that pawn unfortunately. So, come up. These are all series of force moves. Only move. You can't deal with that pawn. Pawn push is bad. After if you push the pawn, it is bad. Suppose here. There is no danger. I can always block that pawn. Pawn c5 check and kill. Or you push the pawn, I will give a pawn check and rook e7. Winning. Only move, only move, and the c pawn advances. So the whole point is a player should not, if you get a good position, do not play, just wait for opponent making further blunders. Now you need not wait. So just open the game and take initiative. Forcing a trick cannot take that pawn, and this is a winning position. The position is Laskar versus Steinitz. Also very instructive. World Championship. Here, both were good in endgame. Now, good move. You have to take initiative. You cannot take passively. So, good move. Nice move. The c3 pawn is attacked. Exchanging pawn, then it is very easy. Pawn takes pawn is not good. Because the rook is very active on g5. He can come to b4 and b5 anytime. So, this is a good move. Planning to play because of c3 and some activity. Okay. The threat. White has to do some activity. So he is giving a threat to trap them. The immediate threat is pawn to f4, trapping them. So black must do something. So he attacks the knight. F4. The resulting position you should not underestimate. Because I told you, don't forget the theme. Mating net with little material. For example, if you are careless, black will play rook e3 and pawn to d3 and rook check. When if you avoid mate, the pawn will start to promote and queen. So you must notice these features. The threat. He is already giving a threat of pawn d3. So you have to take now pawn into pawn. Suppose you play careless, greedy pawn into pawn or pawn push. Pawn d3 will come. Suppose you take now d3, mate threat. Mate threat. And if you try to avoid it, then the pawn will queen check and then pawn push. And if you play further push, a rook check and a queen check. One should not underestimate and take it for granted. So you have to stop. So he plus brings the idea. If you push the pawn, I will take it. Rook. The idea rook into bishop is not good. Rook check and pawn push. Immediate rook into bishop c3. He has a rook check and then pawn to advance. So rook must come back to g1. Anyway, once again giving a threat, rook e1. So block. You cannot take pawn into pawn or c6. Then rook e1 is coming. So only one. Now the smoke is clear and everything in control. White wins that. Because rook e1, king c2 is out of danger. Over. Only move. And then the rook will come to b1, rook a1. This is just rook b1 and rook a4. One by one. You can see that you have to restrict. You must notice the threats. You must. Many players here will carelessly play c6 or pawn into pawn, giving counter plays. Good move. Anyway, good. For example, rook c3 is bad. Rook c3 is bad. Rook check. And then pawn push. So rook here losing here. Not losing exactly, but it is bad. Unnecessary counter play. So here, rook. Once again, the pawn push is bad because rook check is coming. You cannot take and new queen. So again, correct move. And it is all now everything in control. So you do not underestimate initiative in endgame stage. It can be lethal. Next, Porcenoy card. It is it is a pass pawn on the b5, and the bishop is restricted. There no particular target for the bishop. Black bishop has no activity. I mean, it's a dream that he will come to e1 and then attack. So not correct. Look attacked, not giving time for bishop to e1. Now the point is, if you move rook b3, he will play advance the pawn. So he gives a check king, trying to restrict advance. Cannot take fork. Lost. The b passer is very powerful. The bishop is tied down, rook is tied down. There is no time to give any kind of counter play. Okay, these are all just to mark time f4 because there is no plan. There is no easy plan. So he waits. You have to and pass should win. Now RD sun check will come. The rook is tied down. Your rook check and all will not work. Forced. Rook bishop is tied down. And if another check, the pawn will fall. Lost. Lost. Cannot take with the bishop or cannot take with the rook. You look into pawn, the bishop falls. And after bishop into pawn, you can play knight e4. The bishop moves. Now this is also whatever it is lost. You take check, king c4. The bishop is attacked, rook b3 is not coming, and any other rook move like d1, pawn into b7. The reason I picked up because in position and game positions, even a small advantage is very strong because the counterplay is less. This position. White to play and win. Now, the extra pawn of black is useless. Black cannot create a pass pawn if it is a king pawn. That means white has a tempo, taking advantage of the fact now white has 4 versus 2 other side. So he can give a pawn to reach a king pawn endgame. A tempo will give a strong initiative. Knight to now knight into e6, pawn into king into e6, hopeless. Because it is like a king pawn endgame, one pawn extra. 3-2. So only move. You can't afford to exchange the knight. Only move. It's winning. There is no knight check, nothing. And there is no time for knight to c4 because check, winning. Two pass pawns will be created in center. One by one, all will fall now. Lost. So a player has to reckon his strong points in the position. He reckoned that he can go for a king pawn endgame. The queen side pawns of black were paralyzed. When you reckon that, then the initiative becomes powerful. This, of course, in a game there are many moves. Yeah, there are many plans. He can need not play only that move. He can play even g4. He can improve further. But this is the easiest and fastest way. Now the king will come. Now directly if you play king to d4 knight check, so this move forces and knight lost. Of course, nf5 was also okay. Namasti. This is Boguljo Alek. For example, black's rook is active and he has better manner piece. But at the moment, the b3 pawn under attack. What should he do now? How should white play here? Not good. You see, correct move is rook b1. The position is bad, not lost. Black is a pawn up and better position, but rb1. Patience is required. rb1, then he will bring king e2, king d2. Resistance is there. After rb1, it is tough. Bad move. After rook b1, with the idea, very difficult. White is still in passive, but this is the best way. After this, it is very easy for black. Now only move. Passive position. Very easy. Now the threat is bishop c4 and king crossover. Lost. Lost. So here, playing passively. Don't play passive moves. Both pieces are passive. The black initiative of bishop to c4, king crossover. The simple plan is enough. That is why don't make this after rb1. It is still black better, but very, very difficult. I have already discussed this position. So today I did some elementary positions and initiative in endgame. In the afternoon session also I will continue the initiative. I hope these positions will broaden your understanding and you'll be able to take correct decision at critical moments. Many players they don't focus on this area of the game. You know, they want to work very hard, lot of time seeing opening books, but from preparation, 60-70% preparation never comes on the. Even if you get a prepared position, you should know the right plan, right technique. So a player should focus more on end game area and middle game area because with your knowledge and experience, you can find just logical good opening. A player like Rashid Nazmet, Lilienthal, or you can say Paul Keres. Paul Keres was good in opening, and there are these players. They did not pay attention to opening area, but they understood the logical moves. But they were extraordinarily strong in the end game and middle game area. My suggestion: we should know how to take small but effective initiative in end game. If you prepare the opening properly, you get a good game and you make correct planning in middle game if it is well prepared. Otherwise, you have to spend some time 10, 15, 20 minutes to make a planning that this is bad, this is good, and I have to improve my position or opponent's weak pawn. I have to take initiative in that line. But in end game, there is no such thing. Whatever comes, you have to confront and you must play very accurately. There is no fourth stage. So, how not to fall into opening trap? Very simple. Capablanca said, develop your pieces to the safe square. You will not fall into opening trap. Develop to safe square. But the question is, where are those safe squares? When you see some classic games, for example, if you are a positional player, knight f3, g3, bg2, castle c4, knight c3, your minor pieces are developing rapidly. I don't think any great player can do any harm, however great he is. So I'm just giving a model thing. When you play d4, there is less chance that you will fall into an opening trap because the game takes a slow character. After d4, c4, and c3, it is not that easy. White will have a nice balance, he will control. Of course, there is aggressive lines, but it is very difficult for a black player to overpower the opening stage. Whereas in open games, in roughly in 8 to 10 moves, the game is wide open. Lot of checks can come, texture can come. So e4 you have to be more careful. Always white is good, but you need not take it for granted. I have already discussed opening some traps, some pitfalls. Okay, I have already discussed yesterday about initiative in opening, making early stage of the game. Opponent makes a mistake, you go over quickly. I will continue this topic, initiative in end game, maybe another 2 3 sessions. Today in the afternoon session 3 o'clock. Also, I will bring discuss some positions about initiative in the end game and some thematic endgame positions also, element basic endgame. So thank you very much, friends, being with me. See you at 3 p.m. today for the next session. Take care, everybody. Bye.